You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 17th meeting of the Trail Creek Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Everyone can stand to join us in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our December meeting, everybody. We have our December agenda in front of us. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the November meeting? I think you have. Council members, any questions, corrections?
So the only question I had was, under the attorney, it says, Attorney Christopher Willoughby is in attendance. A motion was made to give authorization to Mr. Willoughby to pursue Harding Ave. The motion was seconded, but it doesn't say who made the original motion.
Probably me.
And no, it was you.
I think it might have been me.
Yeah, we can make the adjustment.
Okay,
Wow.
that was the only question that I had.
You seconded. You did.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I didn't catch that. Oh, and the R in November.
That was my change. That was going to mention that.
I see it was fixed. I know it was Dan's landscaping on the copy that you gave us, but I see there's the D is in there now.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions, comments, or changes?
I move to accept the minutes with the corrections noted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then moving on to the fund report. Is there anything notable here?
No.
So we're still negative in the bit.
That's the thing I was gonna
That
ask.
should have an adjustment coming from a payment hopefully soon.
We fixed that the other day.
Yeah, but the,
And so it's not on this report because this was on the 16th. Was that fixed before that or?
We fixed that when I was here last week.
yeah, we did. We'll look into that one, because we made some, changes to that.
Okay.
And we will, I think, receive one more, because this is for November, not December, so.
Got it.
That's why.
Okay.
We changed it in December and this is
Oh.
November, that's why. We
Okay.
adjusted it, it'll be for next meeting.
Okay.
See that will not be.
It'll be a positive balance next meeting.
Yeah, it is already, I can pull that up and to cite it, to quote it to you, but it's
It is.
$4,000-ish.
Okay.
We were able to reclassify some of the overtime that had spent over budget
Okay.
back into the general fund line.
Got it.
And a little bit of the gas as well.
Okay.
And so then, yes, there's a positive cash flow.
Awesome.
Number for you.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the fund report. If there's no further questions or discussion.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to payment of the bills. Any questions or discussion?
Dave, you like the Rain-X blades from Menards?
A lot cheaper than paying for it.
I hear ya. I was looking, yeah.
Very, a whole lot cheaper.
Yes.
Same problem.
Council, any discussion, questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the payment of the bills from November?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Any correspondence this month?
We did. We had a Tim Bartlett call. He wanted to thank the street department for coming out one last time, even though the leaf machine was done, because we had that really warm weekend, and they were able to come out and get the rest of their leaves, and wanted to thank you for making that one extra trip out. Tim was not the only one that called. He is the only one that actually left his name, but a lot of people did call and said, thank you so much, that weather was unexpected and they weren't able to even get to their leaves in the first place, and that so they want to thank the street department personally.
So I think is, from the council's perspective, we also echo that same sentiment, that thank you for the extra one load, 2 loads that were done that last day.
Yeah, yes.
So,
We went out yesterday.
you went out yesterday, okay, so we'll talk about that shortly, but
I
thank
thought
you
I
for
saw you
going
went out
out.
like 3 more times.
We've been out, yesterday was it. Yeah,
Right.
We went out yesterday.
Right.
Did a complete pass through town.
So thank you for making sure that everything was nice and cleaned up. and
Yes.
Ready to roll for the winter time, so
Yeah.
we'll address that shortly though, and as you said, and we'll move on from there.
And to go back for that lit, the current balance for, as of right now today, is $3,402.46.
Fantastic, thank you.
We're trying not to leave any negative balances in anything to close out.
That would be great. All right, moving on, do we have anything for MS4? Have you heard anything more from Shem?
No, we'll have that ordinance as we talked about last time.
For next month.
But we do need to, and maybe it'll be a call between you, since you've been point person from the
Mhm.
council, and clerk's office and Trista and Shem. One of the things we gotta do is set what the fee is gonna be, right? And have a discussion about what you wanna do with that, because that's gonna be a process and a public hearing and some procedure there.
Okay,
So right now, the budget just has the approximate $5,047 or something for the consultant, but if Shem, as Chris and I were talking, if Shem is planning other, follow-up, I'm missing my word, from the state mandate, other things that you need to do,
Right.
and you need more of a budget, then it would change the fee. So Crystal's prepared to help get that ready once you know what your total expenses are gonna be.
Okay.
So I think that we kind of need to decide, and we can talk to Long Beach, as we've talked about before, because they're a little bit further ahead, so not that you'll necessarily have the same budget, but you'll be doing some of the similar things about, the public outreach. You're gonna, is it pamphlets, is it things on the website, is it at trunk or treat you do? There are various things, but getting a handle, because I know we talked about what the per resident fee, for instance, as a point of discussion, and not to belabor the point, because that's not where we are, but that may or may not get to cover the fees that you're gonna need for the services, right? Because you have to have somebody that's also qualified to make sure that everything's in compliance with the MS4
Right.
ordinance. So I will coordinate that, if that's okay with you, and then that will
Much
help us get along
appreciated.
the road.
Okay. Thank you. Then that brings us up to your report for the attorney.
Nothing, I have not been able to cross paths with Steve Thomas, that's not his fault, in terms of any violations for Harding, but I have a lien search going to see who is or isn't entitled that has to get notice, and I'll keep you apprised from there and send copies just via email.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Jenny.
Nice to see you tonight.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Time for the engineer's report.
The CCMG project, as you know, is going to be about $1 million total.
Right.
And of that $1 million, the town's going to have to put up $250,000 of that $1 million.
Okay.
We want to get in on the first call, which is going to be this January.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to do it in the first half of the month rather than the second half, so we can get in the queue faster. And we're working on getting the grant documents in order and the cost estimates for the project put together. But we will also need a financial commitment between the town and NDOT. And we would like to have that before the next town council meeting if we could. So I was wondering if maybe the council could give you, as the president of the council, permission to sign the commitment once Sam has it all ready and all that. It's not going to be much different than the last one we did, but it's got to be on the town's letterhead, and it has to be an official's signature on it. So
Okay.
if you want you to do it, or one of the councilmen to do it, or the clerk treasurer to sign it, whoever you want, just let us know. I think it would be best coming from you as president.
I'm okay with signing that, but we just need a motion so that,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And like I said, the first call is going to be in January, I think the first 3 weeks of January.
Okay.
But the awards for the grant probably won't come until like maybe May.
Okay.
So even though we're putting them in January, we may not hear from them until a couple of months later.
Okay. And did you have the figures that you were looking at finalized yet or no?
No, Sam's making a list, checking it twice.
Okay.
He's going through that all. Brad worked up a lot of it, and Sam is taking the reins on that and is finishing it.
Okay. And you said the projected amount from the town is about 250,000?
That's what we're planning on. Yes,
Okay.
we'll have a
And since the
$1 million project, and 3/4 of that will be grant money, and 1/4 of it will be from the town.
Okay.
Plus the engineer cost then,
Engineer's cost is separate,
still approximately 15%, is that fair?
probably close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
couldn't say for certain, but that sounds about right.
That's usually about the cost.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Anything further or?
No, I think that'll do it.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on to the park department, or park board. Laura, I know
I don't have
a letter.
anything, but
Okay,
that we printed.
Okay, I did get a letter just yesterday from Amanda Wojciechowski, who is the current Park Board President, to submit her resignation as the Park Board President. She says it's been a privilege and an honor to serve as the President of the Park Board, but she is currently stepping down. She would still like to be considered to be allowed to remain on the board and serve the community. She said that she would like to wish everyone that she's served alongside of the best of luck, happy holidays, and a Merry Christmas. Best regards, Amanda Wojciechowski. So in January, after we reorganize and make sure that everyone who is currently served on the board is willing to continue to volunteer, once they reorganize and meet again, then the park board can re-elect a new president for their board. So, if you'll hand that down to Crystal, so she's had that for the records. The building inspector's not here, so he won't have a report. Anything for planning and zoning?
So the only thing I have would be for Crystal, actually, for planning and zoning. Do you have a list of the board members that should be on the current planning and zoning board?
All I have is the Lewandowski.
That's the only person you
That's the only
have?
one I was able to get a hold of. When I called the list that I was given, he was the only one that came in contact.
Because I
That
know-
was still involved.
I know there's gonna be some planning and zoning issues that are gonna be coming up this year.
Okay.
And I would really like to make sure that we have a board in place when those issues come up.
So, and we can work together on that too, to make sure that we have volunteers for all of our boards.
Well, the building, did a door get delivered today?
Today? No. But they were waiting for, you're talking about this door? They needed half down, I believe, and so we sent that check out earlier this week.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
it
that
should
is
be
in
here anytime.
process.
Yeah,
It's in process. Because Steve had mentioned or text and said that he thought that the door was gonna get delivered today. But
yeah.
anyway, it's in
So it's
process.
on its way.
Yeah.
It could be it just, closing it too, and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't leave things at the door, they wait till the next business day, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay. Police department?
Only got one quick thing, we've got that 2015 Explorer that we need to liquidate, and just need the approval to go ahead and solicit bids for it. No?
So we need a motion.
I move to solicit bids for the 2015 Explorer.
Second.
Okay.
Do you need quotes? Are you getting bids?
Sealed bids.
Sealed bids.
Sealed bids, yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Work with you, get an ad run,
With-
get that thing sold, get it out of here. That's all I have. You guys have anything for me?
Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Not at this
Thank you,
time.
guys, Merry Christmas.
Not at this time.
All right,
Thank
always
you.
appreciate your support, thank you.
Thanks for a good year.
Appreciate you.
Mr. Baker. How are you?
All right, I sent out my report to everybody earlier today, so hopefully you had a chance to look at it. Questions on that, we'll go over that, but real quick, just touch on leaf season. You all know that went through, it was done. Actually, I'd say met our obligations, dates given. Yes, we did go out the following Monday after everything was said and done, and we also went out yesterday. Both days, about one load each day. So that put us at finishing off at 118 for the year. So we're right on par. The H&G crew, or H&S crew was right on with everything. I mean, it took them a little while. They got there, but they had their time set and I think they met their obligations. So I'm gonna report that. All the regular complaining and all that, it still ended up clean, like you said, at the time. So to boot, that Friday, I had them go through town before ending their day. They did all, what was left. I asked them to go through one more time just to cruise through, see if there's anything else out there. And at that time, 4 o'clock that day, Friday the 6th, they reported nothing. So nothing was left out there. Stuff came out, but the nice weekend and what have you. But
So
besides
overall,
that,
were you happy with the results of contracting?
think it worked out. I was a little
I mean, of course, there are a
concerned at
few
certain times,
hiccups.
but at the same time, I mean, I kept looking at the numbers and looking at the dates and kind of keep an eye on that. Everything went smoothly. With regard to the machine, there was a couple small issues that were taken care of. That myself or Mike or one of us went out and were able to handle that on site, keep them rolling. There are things that need to be done with that machine. I think we put out in the report, so there'll be some the normal repairs and some other extra stuff that's there. But overall, it's there. It did its job. So, yeah, that's about where we're at.
I just have a question on that. You say it did its job. Is it going to be able to continue to do its job?
Yeah, with some fabrication, I would imagine, I would hope so. Talking about basically the box, the encasement, the chute, these type of things. I don't know if Chris might be able to speak to this. Rob said he has never seen that with some of the other machines.
Just heavy wear?
Just a much thinner metal is what I'm gathering. It's what it has to be. And I mean, it's literally, there's some, I think I got some pictures back there, but the metal tearing, ripping. It's literally, it's kind of strange the way that's set in certain spots. And we had a few repairs like that before, took care of it, but yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, and it's the chute, some of the high pressure areas and all that kind of stuff. So I just don't think it's made the way they used to be. Let's put it that way. So, that's where we're at. But yeah, come on down to the shop. I'll be in there tomorrow morning, so come on down and take a look at it. I can show you everything. It's in there now before we get rock and roll on it. Winter stuff, the trucks are pretty much all set up. We're in the process of being set up for winter operations now. We're basically done, I think, with the leaves. I'll say we are. There's not much more we can do with that. And SLBs as well, sticks, limbs, and branches. There's a lot of small piles and people just put them in the toters like we've been preaching for the last year and all that kind of stuff. It's going, board will take care of it. We're not gonna be able to be continuing that through the winter with, as you guys know, with the truck setup, because you just can't. You have too much weight on there, you have other stuff going on with that, and it's time that they start using the toters, or they can haul the stuff to the county and dump it there for free, normal business hours, the county dumps it, and anybody out here in Will County can do that, so. That's basically it.
Okay.
Questions for me about any other stuff?
I'd like to extend my personal thanks to Dave for going through all the CCNG project locations with our guys. It was very helpful, and your insight is going to help us with the final design for all that stuff. So thank you very much.
Gosh, thank you. I did forward that was attached, or that was the primary email I attached to, and that was some of the stuff just to give them an idea of CCNG, where we're standing and numbers are looking like right now. So until it's finalized.
So thanks again.
So I think there's a lot of good there, quite a bit to get done. It shocked me as well, so.
It would be nice to get one big project done.
Yeah, it would.
One big one's on there, if you
Yeah.
look at the list. And
Oh, yeah.
I was impressed with
That would be
how it
fantastic.
came in, so I think we'll be in pretty good shape when we do that. Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking care of leaf season. I know there were some rough patches, but I think overall was pretty impressive.
Good.
Pretty impressive to
Good,
get
and we press on to the next.
that much done in that short of a time frame was definitely impressive.
It's a lot of work, guys, that's for sure.
So, just a question, what's happening in the spring now?
We're gonna be ready. Machine will be ready.
The machine will be ready by spring, and as of right now, our street department will handle spring leaf pickup.
Oh, okay. That's fine,
I have one
that's official.
certified, so we've already talked about that, and I think we're in good shape.
Did you ever use the staging spot that,
We have, the guys use that, a couple of times, well, often. Michigan City's shutting down, if you recall, as
Yeah.
I briefed everybody at lunchtime, and then even later on in the day, the last week or two, they started working basically until dark. So that's a lot longer than 4, but Michigan City will shut it down, they're done, and so I said, yeah, go ahead and use that. We've already transported stuff over and dumped, and there's not a whole lot of anything left out there. What is, we've taken care of, so it's what we
okay. And then, too early probably to ask, but then we worry about next fall.
Too early to ask.
But it's a great conversation to have. I'm ready for a conversation.
It's too early to have right now.
just.
But yes, but we will have that conversation next year. Yes, we will.
I'll stay on it, trust me.
And I'm sure that Dave will have lots of suggestions for us. So moving on to NERC.
Yep. Yeah, really don't have, these are our minutes that we have, what transpired at the meeting, so it's just gives you an idea what we talk about as commissioners. And I wrote down there in the lower right-hand corner, which was kind of interesting, they had work truck week down in Indianapolis on 3/5 to 3/7. If you know about that already. For EV, and I talked about electrical.
Yeah,
too,
I
so.
remember there's an email.
Anyway, that was, we talked about clean action plans and just to give you an idea.
Are there any grants available for EVs?
It sounds like it's possible.
Okay, so if we're in the market to replace any vehicles, potentially, then that might be a way to do that.
Yeah, from what I understand, there or even with police cars, it sounds like it takes a while when you apply, like years, but
So
don't know enough about it to.
maybe that's something we should look into, though,
Yeah,
for eventual funding.
I have a name.
Okay.
If I might add, we've seen a couple interesting stories, I guess, out of California for a few different towns that have used. One town switched their entire fleet to EV for a police vehicle. And it's been interesting seeing how it's worked or not worked for them. And so you might run across a couple of those articles if you become interested in that.
Yeah, they're.
I forget the names of the towns, but
She's kind of starting to push that before both departments there, so something to think about.
I think the town of Porter actually has gotten involved in that and has replaced some of their fleet.
Yeah, there's several towns switching over.
Street Park guys were there.
Switching over.
Interesting. Okay. So moving on, looks like under old business, we have the Dan's Landscaping invoice again. Council, do you have any discussion on that? Otherwise, I would like to entertain a motion to table that invoice again.
Yeah, but do we have a direction?
Not at this time, but I'd like to table that for the time being again.
Okay. So is there a plan, I guess?
Looking for a motion to table that for the time being.
Guess there's a motion.
That's the motion I'm seeking for right now.
Any discussion?
That's what I'm waiting for. Listen for discussion or questions.
What's the plan to take care of it? Or are we going to, just what's the discussion about?
At this point, we would need to speak with Dan to find out where he's at with it.
Okay.
At this point, I still don't agree with the amount that was presented.
Right? And who will do that? Is that the legal department?
I think we would have to authorize our attorney to speak with Dan.
Well, that'd be my suggestion, to get it off center and
I don't,
maybe check the pulse of where he is, perhaps share some municipal law with him. And I'm not his attorney, but just in terms of where everybody is, and obviously I'm not have decision-making power, but to have that discussion without getting into the merits in the public forum, I think is probably the way to go. That's my recommendation for you.
Okay.
so at this time, we would table that and authorize our attorney to have that discussion.
That's cool.
That's my motion.
As long as there's a plan.
Okay. So we have that motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have co-second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Pete, I found your D, it was in the agenda.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it is.
I knew I saw it somewhere.
All right, moving on. The next point up for discussion would be the 2025 salary ordinance. I think everyone has read through the amounts in the salary ordinance already. Looks like the only change will be the additional policies. And it looks like you guys have changed it back to the 1st and the 15th of each month for all bi-monthly and hourly individuals paid on the 1st and the 15th of each month, or the immediately following business day if either falls on a weekend or a holiday. All quarterly paid individuals will be paid on the last Friday of the quarter. And then there is longevity pay on the following page, adding longevity pay also for the clerk treasurer. And then the pay schedule would be on the last page.
So even on the pay schedule on the back, even though it says the 1st and the 15th, the first 3 months, of course, of January, February, March, they all end up being on a Saturday, so it'll be the previous, or the next Monday when they'll actually get paid, so it really won't be on the 1st and the 15th, it'll be like the 3rd and the 18th.
Right, but this all fits in with the state board recommends, so. Okay.
So everyone will be paid bi-monthly then?
Correct, the only person that's upset about that is one, so
Okay.
that would be Julie, so. She's the breadwinner in her family, and every Fridays work best for her, so she is gonna take one for the team.
Okay.
So this is just the second reading with the amended,
Right.
new change.
All right, and so council, we need a motion to approve ordinance number 5-2024.
I move to approve ordinance 5-2024 as amended.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's finish. Sign please. Yeah. Moving on to the refuse bill adjustment request for 628 Pine Tree Drive.
Okay. We received a call from a resident at 628 Pine Tree Drive. She told us that she, received our, notice saying that we were gonna, add additional liens to be put on her house. She called to say that she was not aware of any liens put on her house, however, there is lots of liens put on her house. So she's been a resident since 1997, and she said that she has city water and sewer, and that she was unaware of having to pay our refuse bill because she doesn't use our can. She uses Michigan City's can with her city water and sewer. So I explained to her that all the bills that she was getting were correct. There's no, just because you have Michigan City, you still have to pay the Trail Creek. So we chatted for a while. She would love these liens off of her house. So what I did, like I did for the previous one, I added from 1997 that she has not paid. That's 27 years of payments, plus all of her lien fees, plus all of the penalty fees. As of right now, it says that she owes $17,216. She has agreed to pay the 27 years of $237.60. That is our bill which was actually a little less than that, I think it was 200 at one point, but she said the 237.60 she would be accountable for the last 27 years. And the $300 fees to get all of her liens, which would come to $6,715.20. So, and looking into this, like I did the other one, the way these charges were amounting was the past clerk treasurer was taking an amount that a lien was owed, and let's say it was $3,000, and then she would add the next lien for the next year, which would be another penalty, plus it's almost like double the amount. So not only are they getting penalized for the $1,760, they're just adding the liens together instead of paying for them separately.
And so the original amount that she had was how much?
$17,216.62. Now, if we agreed to pay the $6,000, if we do today, reduce to the $6,715.20, this would not lose. This is a way for, we're still getting paid for all the penalties for 27 years. We're getting paid for the upcharge for the liens to be put on and off, and we're not losing any money. Honestly, collecting this money instead of not collecting it all would benefit us. And she said that they could probably come in and pay a good chunk of that, and then another chunk during tax season.
So we're looking for a motion then to amend,
I'll make the motion.
I want to just have a discussion.
please.
How could 628 Pine Tree Drive have city water and sewer?
There are several.
We have city water. and
Yeah.
sewer.
You do?
Several-
Okay, all
several
right.
streets.
Because you're close to Evergreen Plaza?
Yes,
Got
because
it,
Michigan
okay.
City came
So there are
through.
several streets throughout the town that have city water and
Got it.
sewer, or just city water even,
Right,
that don't have necessarily sewer.
got it.
So there are
I was just trying
lots of
to,
city water.
yeah, I was,
It has to do with the plaza.
yeah,
Because
yes,
the Michigan City came and knocked on our door.
yes.
Said,
And they gave
You
you the
got paid
option
for
to run the
mean, it-
lines, yeah.
we did it in 1997.
I would say it
It's
had been quite some,
$10,000.
it had to be quite some time ago, right, and I'm sure it'd be
Yes.
substantially more than that
Yes.
today, so.
Yes.
Correct.
Probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Within 20 years ago, they framed
It
it.
was
Got
in
it.
1997.
So they still added them, they just added them
Yeah.
on Yankee Road or?
So you can
Got it.
still tie in, you just have to do it at your own cost.
Yep, okay, I was just, I wanted to, yeah, I kinda thought it had something to do with Evergreen Plaza, but I wanted to be sure, okay. That was the only discussion I
Now
had.
the refuse though, it's us,
So-
right? City don't get it.
Right, Michigan City doesn't go through there.
Correct. And so
Should
they
understand that.
have.
They do. They
No,
come
I have,
through.
Michigan City picks up my garbage.
Yeah, they
I have
come through.
sewer septic. I still have a well, but I have
Yeah.
sewer
They get two
septic, so I
pickups, one
get,
from the town.
yeah, I get one
Yeah.
from the town and one from Michigan
Yeah.
City.
Never saw their trucks come in.
No, they come
Yeah.
through.
On Tuesdays.
Yep, on Tuesday.
Oh, now we know. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting point.
so she was never using our cans, so she thought she just was not gonna pay them, and so, she wants the liens off of her house, so I said, we'll
But
have
she
to come
does
to
understand
some.
that in the future that has to be
Yeah,
paid.
she does. Mhm.
Because that point needs to be clarified for her, that, well, we're willing to amend this now, but in the future, she's expected to still, because that still pays for leaf pickup, it still pays for.
Right, it's not just
Exactly.
garbage, right?
Yes.
Other services that she.
I second Warren's motion.
So we have the motion, we have the second, all in favor?
I,
Okay.
We're gonna have one more next month as well, I just didn't fit it on this one. Willoughby had mentioned the one before, about a
Last name is
resident.
Rice.
Last name, yeah, Rice, and, I got a letter from his attorney,
Okay.
as an agreement, but I wanna talk about the agreement first, cause I'm not sure if I agree with the amount.
Don't know what the agreement is.
Okay.
Mr. Rice reached out to me before, so I haven't been contacted by anybody.
So let's, once we figure out the amount
Yeah.
on that, then we can
Yeah.
discuss that further.
But I wanted to just state that we did receive that and we will work on that, a number.
Okay.
Okay.
And so we'll work on that for January.
Correct.
The MS4 rate, let's
We can-
table that until,
Okay, yep.
or at least wait on that until,
Do we need a motion to table it?
please.
Thank you.
I move to table the MS4 rate discussion.
Thank you.
So we've got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the refuse rate review. Everyone should have had that in their packet for this month. There were 3 options that were provided for us. Option 1 would leave us at a $20,000 shortfall for the first year. Option 2 would leave us at a $10,000 shortfall for all of the years. And option 3 looks like the only option that would not provide us with a shortfall. Although looking at that, it does have some odd amounts. Is there any way that we could round those to dollar amounts, to even dollar amounts?
On option 3?
Because I have a feeling that for you to have an amount like $266.98 coming into your office would be a logistical nightmare.
It would be, thank you. Yes, we can round. I think we originally were gonna round and then we didn't.
Yeah, just because we put in the 0 shortfall.
Yeah.
And that's how the
Yeah,
it works.
and we just were trying to get the math to 0. That's kind of what came up.
So ideally, we would have a 0 shortfall because we don't want to have a shortfall at all on that.
Well, here's the next chart in here is, this shows you, previous years that we've had lots of shortfalls, actually. The only reason we kind of threw in the other ones was because of the fact that the cash in that doesn't make it, the cash balance makes us not be able to, it's really,
It's not a good idea to have that.
no, it really isn't,
cash
it
flow.
isn't.
So,
But there's enough in there to get us through is what I'm trying to say.
there is for right now, but going forward, it wouldn't be a good idea for us. It's not financially or fiscally responsible for us as a council to continue with that.
I agree.
So looking at that, to allow us to continue with that, I'm of the opinion it's not a good idea. But I can see out of the corner of my eye Pete shaking his head. So I'm assuming that you're not in agreement with that either.
Yeah, no.
So,
So can I add to this discussion?
Please.
Because I'm not sure that everybody necessarily has in front of you, but there is an ordinance to be considered only on first reading, amending to put in these rates. So previously, your ordinance just referred to a general, every year during budget time, we'll look at it, increase it as necessary. But because you have the next 6 years, we're amending, we have some of that same language, but then putting these specific rates in there.
So
that
if you guys
expectation-
see in the next one, that is the ordinance, all people have that. It's just, it's in the next new business after, just in case you guys wanted to discuss option A, B, and C first before looking at the ordinance. So in this ordinance, it is option C, but we can amend that to also change the dollar amount.
I already did.
Oh, see?
Assuming you want to go to the next dollar, right?
Right.
I would think that we need to go to the next dollar, because
Right.
logistically for you, it's gonna be a nightmare to have 2 cents change for everybody who comes in the door.
And then also as consideration, in your previous ordinance, you had the frequency and old habits die hard, and so looking at it from what seemed to me to be logistical nightmare of different payment frequencies, quarterly, yearly, and I don't want to speak for Crystal's office, but it would seem to me that, and we've had some discussion that maybe the clerk's office, just they can look at what your software will allow and how that's going to be triggered with regard to frequencies, because even though they're increasing, logistical nightmare in her office to keep track of all these different billing cycles of how it's billed or how they're paid, right? And so one change, I guess, that I'm saying is you have the ordinance for first reading. We need to publish that. We need to have a public hearing next month. But one change that you could potentially expect is when they are able to do a little research about what the frequency will be or should be or recommended in the ordinance.
And I do recommend if we can, personally, I feel that this should be a quarterly bill. I looked into it with Keystone is our software that we use. It is possible, if we send 4 bills out per year. The cost is not significant for us to, so when we take a bill and we send it out, Keystone sends it for us, okay? And they generate all the amount for what the check's gonna be. So the stamp cost is sometimes like 10 cents of a resident versus this, it's almost 70 cents it does. So it depends on, I can't tell you a cost of what it's gonna cost for Keystone to actually send it out. However, if we sent one ourselves, it would cost us more.
Because we get a bulk rate through Keystone?
What's that?
Do we get a bulk rate then through Keystone?
Yeah, but that's for the whole Indiana. Whatever goes out through that system, and a lot of them do bill quarterly, so luckily enough, there's always mail going out of Keystone. So it's not just like in the beginning of the year or the end of the year. However, I talked to Julie about it. We are able to do something like this. The penalty fees, Keystone allows us to go in and make our own penalties. So for instance, if, say we did the 4 quarters and somebody paid the full $267, okay? They would never have a penalty. Let's say they came in and paid the $66 the quarter, they would not get the penalty. If they did not pay it, they'll get the penalty. Like, we could set 15 days, 30 days after the bill's due. Let's say the next month they didn't pay, that delinquency fee will then generate again. So it's not like the $17.60 that we currently charge, it can go split into 4. If they pay it the full amount, they'll never get the delinquency. If they just miss one, it'll register just that delinquency for not the $17.60, it would be
The
a quarter of it. So, I know a lot of people, Laura, we've discussed, even the amount that we're asking now to change it to be is still way less than the county, listening, this is my first year listening to a lot of the elderly come in and have to pay that one chunk. It is tough for them. Especially right in the beginning of the year. So I just want you guys to know that it is possible, and I just want you to take in consideration that this could help our residents a lot by doing it by quarter. Will it be a lot of work for us? Yeah, but we can manage. It would be okay. We would be all right. It would actually fill our time even more. It'll make our time go even faster being here a day. I know we're gonna talk about this again, but I just wanted to see what you're doing.
So looking at, because right now we're looking at a rate increase of going from $220 up to $267 for that first year. That's a pretty steep jump. Right, so.
If you looked at option A and B, as well, it's still worth it. Yeah, it's a steep jump regardless. But if you can tell, as the years go up, it's only $10 per year for the
The remaining 5 years.
Yeah, the remaining 5 after this, so 6.
So that puts it at $66.75 a quarter. Are you guys okay with that, having the $66.75? Because there again, you're still at an odd number.
Well, we're at an odd number when people are delinquent. Most people don't pay with cash. Most people pay with checks. And the other part, we don't have a whole lot of cash that come in. We do have some, I have to admit, but most of our transactions are checks dropped off in the Dropbox.
Okay. And so it would be, if you divided that out quarterly, again, this first year would be 267 instead of,
I see what you're saying, so that we could make it an even amount for the quarter if we went for the quarter.
right, so, and that's however that needs to work, but your annual amounts, raising them to the next dollar, or to the nearest dollar, whatever that needs to be. Because if you have 295.05, you're still gonna operate at a slight deficit, or going down from 285.30 down to 285 is gonna be a slight deficit as well. Same going from 305.23 down to 305 is gonna be a slight deficit, correct? So you would need to go up to the next dollar from the whole dollar, from those dollar figures.
Which I think Willoughby said you already made the adjustment for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for 2025, do you want to make it an even dollar amount so that
So I think,
don't care?
would it be a horrible thing if we just looked at these figures every year, instead of looking at these all 5 or 6 at once?
You can do what you'd like to do. I think these are set, I think they were trying to take into account, and I'll defer to Trista on how we reach the numbers, but your ordinance currently talks about, or refers to taking costs into consideration, right? So I don't know what methodology these rates were. Can you? Sure.
I'm assuming this was based on the Borden contract extension, correct? About the 15% increase on an
Annual.
annual basis.
And the flip side is, so there's a process here, right? So if we do this, and, there's other methodologies in that. I've seen a few different versions as of late, so I think it must have been a canned flavor of the month kind of ordinance of, we'll do it during budget time and we'll consider it every year and take costs. But if you do it this way, right, there is a process, you have to have a public hearing, at least it's out there, it's set, there's some expectations, but you could amend it in the future if you need to as well. So you can look at it both ways of, you're not necessarily stuck here, this is just what it's set at based on what we know now. But it's honestly whatever they recommend of what those costs would be, so again, not being upside down.
Right.
So also, the reason also, I just explained just in case we're unaware, there's several things that come out of our refuse payment. So would you like me to read those things so you are aware of why we're moving up?
I know them, but you may want to explain it for public
Okay.
knowledge.
Okay. So I'm not gonna get into the dollar amount, but we use a big chunk of that for our leaf removal for our street department. We use it for social security, for taxes. We use it for the clerk and the secretary, a portion. We use it for perf, a portion of the clerk treasurer. We use for supplies for the office that we need to run these bills, deposit slips, printing paper for delinquency fees. We use it for gas and oil. We use it for postage, advertising. We didn't use any this year, but it's still in our budget for it if we needed to advertise the change or however you guys want to do that. We do have, that does come out of that. Equipment repairs, the leaf storage and our lien releases also come out of the refuse bill. And I believe that is it.
So basically anything that has to do with cleaning up the town, whether it's administrative or
So gas
actually
for the
labor related.
leaf or, that type of thing. They
All
go
comes
out
out
and
of
clean
this.
up people's trash sometimes when, also, yeah.
So any of those fees and
Correct.
costs can come out of this budget.
Yeah.
And so those are fees associated with, it's not just the trash pickup, it's a lot more than
Right.
just simply trash pickup.
Exactly, it's everybody involved with the trash pickup as well.
Right, and so those are things that people need to understand. It's not just simply Borden's cost that comes out of this, it's a whole lot more.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So would you feel more comfortable with reviewing this on an annual basis then, just in case costs do change? Or would you feel more comfortable with going over this just this one time and then amending it potentially on an annual basis?
I think we could go for an annual, see how the first,
So let's see how this 1 year
Yeah.
goes, and then let's do this again and revisit it next year at this point.
So we're gonna advertise, and what you'll have to do is be diligent, in terms of when you handle that at budget time and when you're considering this, right? So to make sure you have enough time and process, and so again, I'm not persuading it doesn't matter to me, but a benefit of doing it this way is for next month, right, we have to have a public hearing, we have to advertise this, these rates are set. So if anything happens, you have these set. Going forward, if anything happens, you miss it, you miss your deadlines, you don't have them set, right, if you don't meet the procedures. It does not matter to me. I see it done both ways. As you said, I think that we have all of these set because we had the numbers set for the next through 2030, right?
So,
And this did include a small 3% raise of the full-time staff. In the event that council wanted to give one in each
Okay.
subsequent year, it
Right.
would be available there.
and these can be amended if we need to amend them at any
Always.
point.
Either way, it can be amended, and like I said,
I like the idea of setting it now and then
I was
amending
gonna
as
say,
need
as long
be.
as we can amend it, then I'm okay with doing it this way.
and also to that point is they have factored in, right, and it was one of the reasons to try to do some of these and wait for that rate is because you're allowed to take everything despite, and again, the public isn't used to it or not necessarily privy or pay attention to the details of the costs that go in there, but trying to account and predict the future by some increases in there. But again, going back to your point,
Because
it will be the same, that you can amend them in the future.
I mean, my concerns would
I
be
like that
that
much
fuel
better.
costs would
right,
increase significantly, or, you know, there may be some other changes that we have to factor in that may cause these numbers to change beyond what we expect right now today. So, you know, and my other concern would be that we round these up to the next dollar amount, not just to the nearest dollar. So that we were not operating at all at a deficit in any capacity.
Right,
And so that would be my proposal. So instead of leaving something at a, you know, at a .23 or 23
no fractional
cents.
dollars, whole
No
dollars
fractional
only.
dollars, everything in whole dollars going up to the next dollar figure.
as in so you would like, if we do quarterly, everything being in a dollar amount?
Divisible by 4.
Right, so yes,
Divisible by
Okay,
4.
that's what I thought.
So
I've already
everything
done-
has to be
I already made
divisible
that
by
change,
4.
so
Okay,
that'll be.
thank you.
So I have
So-
a question, and
Yes.
also, so will this not have an effect on our budget? Right now, we have all this money collected by March 31st, is that correct? For the whole year?
We have enough cash balance to do it quarterly.
Okay, we have enough, okay. And then, so you would send out payments, they would be due in March, June, September, and December?
Yes,
What if we went to 270, and then if you pay them quarterly, you paid 70 apiece, and that'd be 280, and that would give you a little increase for the expense of the extra handling, and there'd be good round numbers.
it's not up to me, that would be up to you guys.
Because we would actually set that figure.
Yeah.
You have that option.
I mean,
Yeah,
you would pay $10 more a year by paying quarterly, which would,
Oh, you're saying have a one rate for an annual payment, but if someone wants to choose a
I
quarterly
think that
payment,
might be a
they pay
logistical
slightly
nightmare.
more.
that would be,
that would not be.
I think you'd have to
Okay.
just.
The billing
Okay.
would be,
that wouldn't fit in with the Keystone? Okay,
no.
that's fine.
No, it has to be one rate
One rate.
across the board.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
But still can be divisible by 4 though,
Okay,
which would make that easy.
Yeah. okay.
I get it now, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's
So if we wanted to
okay.
go to we could go to the nearest 10, if that's what you wanted to do, but I think
No.
just staying at the nearest dollar is,
267 is fine.
I think we're going high enough, just
Yeah,
by going
oh,
to the
I
nearest dollars.
think so too. I think people are gonna be shell shocked, but as it is.
But I do like the idea of going to the quarterly payment, because I think that does,
Yeah,
I think
that
it
does help
will
our
be such a
residents.
shock if they're allowed to pay quarterly. I think we'll
it
have,
lessens the pain.
yes. I agree, for a lot of people.
Okay, and I think that there's enough that's going up in price and up in price and up in price, and if we can take away some of that, then that sting is a little bit less.
So is that what the motion has to have mentioned as we
So-
go, we raise the rate to
So this is
the
just-
next whole dollar amount?
This is just the first reading of this.
Okay,
ordinance.
alright, so there's no motions.
So there's no
we
motion
Got it.
at all for this one, this is just the first reading of ordinance number 2025, I guess
I
this
think
is
it's one
just
2025, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 1/2025.
2025-1, actually. Right,
No, it's actually gonna be
1-2025.
you got it.
Willoughby's fixing it right now. Sorry. Thank you.
And then the calendar yearly charge for refuse for 2025 would be $267. For 2026, as it stands, would be $276. For 2027 would be $286. 2028 would be $296. 2029 would be $306. And 2030 would be $316. All payable in quarterly payments. If quarterly payments are not made, then delinquencies would be charged, correct?
Yes.
And those would be in quarterly amounts as well.
Do you have to set that rate, or are we just gonna keep that rate? Do you want 1760
It
or?
would be the current rate divisible by 4.
Okay, so you're okay with 1760 divided by 4.
It would be whatever the current amount due is that's divided. It should be set within your ordinance. So delinquent amounts will be assessed at 10% charge. So it's whatever the 10% is divided by 4. So it would not be 1760 necessarily. So it would be whatever the 10% is, but divided by 4.
I see that.
Crystal, are you aware on this first page, there's an L missing for Trail Creek
Um,
on the ordinance?
Yes, that is in the first paragraph where it says now
Now therefore
therefore
be it
ordained
ordained.
by the town of
Trail
Creek. And these are all things that we can correct since this is only the first reading. We can get that all fixed now. And so we'll have this ready for next month for approval.
Trail Creek.
We'll have it hearing and approval next month. Thank you. And it'll be nice to have that in a positive cash flow and, or at least an even amount.
Might allow you to have a little bit of cash available if there is
Feels much more responsible of us.
further problem with the leaf machine. You'll have a chunk there for repair.
It just feels much more responsible of us to go about it that way. Okay, moving on to Haas and Associates schedule of hourly rates for 2025. That should be in your packet as well. Notice that we don't have one from the attorney's office for 2025.
last year's we done it in January.
And we'll just honor the 2024 rates for the attorney's office. No, thank you, sir. If all of you can review the proposed rates from Haas and Associates.
Do we know what they were from last year?
I do not have those. Ken, do you know if there were any?
There is a couple changes I pulled from last year. I think it's only 5 here, 5 there. I can grab it out of my office right now if you need it.
So it was not a significant
It was not a
increase?
huge amount, no.
Okay. In reviewing these, I don't see anything that appears to be a significant increase to myself, just
I'm in the wrong line of
remember
work.
about anything. Do we have a motion to approve the 2025 rates for Haas and Associates?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Laura. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Nice to have you back, Ken.
Put a ball on it.
Moving on to the appointments for 2025.
Oh, we have one more, we have a resolution.
Oh, we do have a resolution.
Go in there.
Sorry, I was trying to skip over that, clearly. Resolution number 7-2024 for the town of Trail Creek. This is transferring appropriations within the 2024 budget. We have a variety of transfers for everyone to review. One is for repairs to the building from the police department, moving funds from the, this is within the general fund, so decrease repairs to building, to increase the gas and community events, and then repairs for park equipment to maintenance and supplies. Then the H fund, we are doing a decrease in gas and oil, increase to street employees. Then safety, from repairs and maintenance over to the town marshal. And we'll need a motion to approve resolution.
Are we moving these because these accounts are in negatives? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And these are all appropriations that we can move within the budget, so. We just need a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before you move on, I'd like to comment or ask a question,
Yes.
since my questions will relate to numbers on the American Fund. And the finishing up on this building with the audio equipment, and what we talked about last month, about getting money to finish it. So, you wanna explain what we're going after?
Most importantly is just to make sure that there's documented paperwork by December 31st of this year to comply with the federal guidelines. I think I mentioned it along the way, a meeting or two back maybe, so that they don't try to claw back money. Originally, as long as you planned it in your conversation, it's in the minutes, it was gonna be fine, long story short. Now they've decided, or just made a stronger point about the fact that the federal definition of obligated is different than what the state of Indiana says. State of Indiana says if it's in the budget, if it's in your minutes for the plan, that it's your plan, it was gonna be fine. The feds say they want something a little bit stronger than that. So if you were able to get a contract with an AV company for the remainder of your ARP balance of cash prior to December 31st, that would be fine. That could be put in Keystone, then with a purchase order, and it would reserve the money. If they can give you an estimate, again, that can be used for a purchase order, we can put in the system. If that's not possible because you're still trying to finalize the components you want, that kind of thing, then there's a memorandum of understanding. I gave Warren a draft copy, although when we printed it on this printer, the formatting went weird. It's right, your second thing there, right underneath your top page. And at some recent seminars.
No, it's not.
There it is.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Some recent seminars with the feds, with the Treasury Department, this kind of agreement could be between the council, who is your ARP committee, and for example, the clerk treasurer, or a different department head who might be doing this project for you. Signing that document then says that that person, department head, clerk treasurer, will reserve this cash to be spent on this item that you're planning as per direction, and that will be sufficient of a document. It's like a contract, even though it's just inter-office basically.
Okay, so
That will be sufficient.
even though our ARP funding technically was to be used to replace funds that
Revenue
lost
replacement.
revenue.
Yep.
And that could therefore be used for any purpose that we intended,
Still fine.
still fine.
Yep. None of that changes. They just want some better wasted paper to be able to document what's happening. So this would take the place of any kind of contractor estimate if you can't get that yet from the company to provide.
So what happens if we don't spend all of it? How much do we have left in that ARP fund?
23,000.
That's like 24,000, I
If
thought.
we don't spend it, I don't think we can use it, so.
Yeah, so in this agreement, let's say it's 25,000 and the AV equipment comes in at 24/7. You have $300 left. You then simply redecide, have another piece of paper that you can document what the 300 is gonna go for, and you can still continue to use that and finish it up.
So my,
Stupid.
the number question in my head has been going around for a bit. It says 23 right now, or 24. And then there was another bill on site itself for 4,000 or something like that to go American Fund. I don't know if that's coming out of that yet. But the bottom line is, it's probably gonna be a little bit more than that for, the equipment.
Okay,
So what is hypothetical?
So that would-
Hypothetical. What if we went, what if they came back and said, well, it's gonna be 40,000? Is there, can you throw money in there? Can you, or say, no, you can't, or,
no, we wouldn't add money to the fund.
okay?
It can't receive, that fund cannot receive any other kind of revenue.
Yeah.
You simply would pay for the remainder from a different fund.
Right.
Okay.
So Riverboat Fund has a little extra, for example, the CETA Fund has a little extra.
Okay.
Your current cash is 22,705
Yeah.
and 11 cents.
So the whole point, though, you can spend 50 grand under your estimate.
Yeah.
You'll just be paying for it somewhere.
Somewhere
From somewhere else.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so if it goes over,
We just have to have some kind of piece of paper to document that this 22.7 is going to the AV equipment.
Yeah, and, cause all I'm really gonna go after is once we come up with a solution and what we want, and, adjust the numbers, you know, I don't wanna be spinning everybody's wheel and say, that's crazy, we're not gonna be able to spend that much, 'cause we don't have the money.
you'd
Right.
have to decide
What's realistic?
before December 31st, even if it is more than what we have, we still have to have something in writing saying we're gonna spend that.
And you're-
Well, I know
that.
Yeah,
I
so
know
we-
that, but I don't wanna waste time.
So we need to have a
If it's
motion to
gonna be more.
authorize signature of this document.
Well,
Oh, for what the
Yeah, which,
town
again, the
approved.
format we have to fix.
Hold on, before we continue here.
Right now, I
Can I
just
ask my
wrote
question?
Warren's name on it simply because of his
Yeah,
construction.
So my concern is if, again, the dollar amount, we don't know what that is. It could be 40, it could be 20, but if it's way high and if we don't have the money, then we just say, "Oh, sorry, I guess we'll decide that at a later date.
Or you
Well,
We gotta have a number.
Then you come back and do a new MOU for the new item to spend $22,000.
Or we just don't spend as much on something and we wait and budget for something later on, get what we can now, and then,
that's exactly right.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
But what we need to do
But it
right
has-
now is authorize this board
Yes,
to
it needs to
sign
be-
this
Hold on a
document.
second. I think to keep you as flexible as possible, because you don't know which direction you're going, and you have 2 weeks to do it,
Yeah.
is to have a motion that authorizes either your council president or Warren to either execute an MOU that we put together, or an appropriate, get a quote and enter. So it gives you the
that's
flexibility to sign that.
Kind of what I was getting at there was we need to have, the MOU is to obligate the ARP funding, correct?
You only need one or the other. You only need the MOU if you don't have an invoice or a PO. So that's why I'm saying to keep it flexible, authorize whoever you choose to enter into and to initiate and sign on behalf of the council, an MOU if necessary. But ideally, we have, Jane Doe Electronics give you an invoice that says we'll do this and you accept that and you can use it as a PO. So that MOU is only necessary if you can't provide that other document. You have options.
Okay. So do you want to seek out that quote?
I will try.
Okay,
That's all I can.
because I know you're
We don't
working
know.
with somebody on that. I would be happy to sign off on that. I can make myself available over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
With the
We
welcome.
definitely can't let this go by, cause I don't wanna give
Tomorrow on
up
Thursday.
$22,000 that,
No,
right.
that's exactly it. So I can make myself available over
Yeah,
the
true.
sign that.
You'll be talking.
The Riverboat Fund does have some extra unplanned cash in the balance
Budget.
that's saved kind of for rated emergencies, and so
It'd be great if we could
higher.
operate within the budget of what we have left over though. That's what I, yeah.
That's why it's there,
I
so,
bet he gets a gift card.
so what's the motion on the table that we need then, guys? Because I want to get this right the first time.
I would say that the motion should authorize the
Council President,
president to execute on behalf of the council an MOU if deemed necessary, or otherwise authorize council president and or Warren to solicit a quote for an estimate for the equipment.
that's my motion.
I would like to.
Second.
Aye.
Everyone play the aye.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay with
Moving
the
on.
president and or Warren,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
To solicit.
She will execute the MOU if Warren or
Okay, so
or Ginny can't get a contract.
I will, yeah,
Okay,
I will
do
sign
that.
off.
And do I have a second?
Yes.
Yeah,
So you had a motion and a
Motion.
second.
And then,
No discussion.
okay, thank you.
Yes,
The Larry.
a little confusing, but it's there.
So Chris, I just sent that to you too, just so you have a copy.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being on top of it. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
now are we ready to go on to appointments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, I would like to open the floor for appointments to, for our town marshal. Would anyone like to,
I would, but I don't have a vote.
anyone that would like to make a suggestion for an
I'd like
appointment
to
for our
suggest
town marshal? Anyone?
Marshall Steve Dick
Who'd like to
to
suggest?
continue,
Okay, any
marshal for the town.
I'll second.
second? Any others? No? Okay, so we've got one suggestion, one motion, and a second. Are you willing to stay on as our town marshal?
Thank you.
Okay, hearing
Are
a
you sure?
motion and a second, any further discussion?
Not for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Welcome
I
back.
appreciate that. Thank you for your continued support and faith.
It's not April 1st, is it?
And for our street department commissioner, we're entertaining nominations for this as well. I would like to nominate Dave Baker to be retained as our street commissioner.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Second,
Any further discussion or questions there?
this, you're,
Are you willing to stay on? Okay.
you should ask that question first.
I wasn't giving him the option. So we've got a motion and a second there. All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like that's unanimous. Aye. And Mr. Baker, welcome back. Thank you again, both of you, for a job well done. Have you heard anything from our electrical or plumbing inspectors?
Nobody that said they were not going to be in it.
So then
Everybody agreed to come back.
then we will agree to have them back, as well as our building commissioner has not said either way.
He did
He
say,
did say he would like to come back.
So I move that we reappoint the current building commissioner, current electrical inspector, and current plumbing inspector.
Thank you. We'll make that one fell swoop.
Second.
We have a second for
Second,
Mr.
second.
Ott. Sounds like down there. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those are all unanimous as well. Motion's carried. There is no public comment this evening. Thank you. Any clerk comments this evening?
yes.
Can you say that for me?
Very short and sweet, Pete. Our budget was approved by the DLGF,
Wonderful.
so we're good to go for 2025.
Thank you.
That is all for me.
All right, any council comments this evening? Once again, to the street department, thank you for a job well done on leaf season. Thank you again, our police department, for a job well done during 2024.
Second.
And
Merry Christmas
Merry Christmas to our council.
and Happy New Year.
To Mr. Ott, thank you for your year of service.
Yes.
We
been a pleasure.
regretfully will be losing Mr. Ott after this meeting. He has some other personal commitments that he needs to take care of, and so he has resigned. After this month, we will no longer have Mr. Ott on our council. However, we will find a suitable replacement for him who will hopefully take his seat after this month. So thank you so much for your time, your dedication to the town. We do appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Know that this isn't goodbye, but see you later. So we'll find you. You know where to find you. All of that said, we hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy New Year, and a safe holiday season. We'll see you all in January.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Move this side.